I think it's a little bit of a double standard if Paul Finebaum can't do it.
Well, I mean, you're talking about President Stephen A. Smith.
Well, right, like Stephen A. Smith is has talked about running for president as a Democrat. Like it's a little, which by the way, that's even more absurd than Paul Finebaum running for Senate. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Nick Morgasen. This is another edition of Moving the Goalpost. You can follow us across social media at ETB Network. You can follow me, the podcast, across social media at MTGPETB. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick DiMart and Nick at Morgasen Radio. And you can watch all Empty Event shows on YouTube.com/ETB Network. And you can listen to Moving the Goalpost wherever you get your podcast. And make sure to like and subscribe. And this show is presented by Playback. Stay tuned for later in the show to find out more. All right, so there's a lot to get to today. I would say the number one story is this was the worst loss I've ever seen, I think. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but I'm not saying it's the most consequential loss, because in the end it probably is. The Cardinals probably wouldn't be a playoff team anyway. But it's the worst loss I've ever seen. I've never seen a loss quite like that. I've never seen a loss quite like that. I've never seen a loss where the team is up 21-6, about to be 28-6 in the fourth quarter, that just gets thrown away because a guy didn't carry the ball over the goal line.
That's not even the worst thing, though. That's not even the worst part.
No,
what about the interception that you don't hold on to? Then you fumble it, and then you give up a touchdown after all that.
In fairness, I think that not carrying the ball over the goal line is worse. Going from a touchdown to a touchback is worse than fumbling. I can understand why you might fumble. Like I don't understand why this is such a constant issue in the NFL. It's one of those weird things where you see it so much in the NFL, but you almost never see it in college. And this has been a thing going on in the NFL for a long time. I mean, I'm old enough I remember Deshaun Jackson doing it. I remember Danny Trevathan doing it. He was about to get a pick six, but dropped the ball before the goal line. I've seen this so many times. Malachi Corley did it for the Jets against
What about it's the second straight week that this has happened?
Mm-hmm.
You remember also we had a touchback situation. I forgot which game it was, but
it was the Colts game.
Yes, and that cost them the game, I think, too.
Yeah, it potentially cost them the game. It potentially cost them the game, and I think it very likely did, actually. So not only was it the second week back, not only was it 2 weeks back to back, but it was also 2 weeks back to back of it being extremely, extremely consequential. I mean, this one had to have cost them the game. Actually, I mean, you would think that, like, how does the saying go? Like, a smart person, a fool learns from their own mistakes, and a smart person learns from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
You would think that as a football player, you'd be like, I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to make sure I carry the ball over the goal line.
I mean, that game was odd in general. When we did forecast this past week for the show, we all labeled that game as like disgusting and gross. The way this game was going to go, I had no idea. I was like 50-50 picking that game, because I was like, all right, the Titans stink. They've lost 10 in a row going into that game. And then you have I'm forgetting the quarterback's name all of a sudden on the Titans.
Cam Ward?
Yeah, Cam Ward. Was he the one who came out and said that the team played like ass last week?
It might have been. I don't remember. It might have been him.
But it was a viral thing. Like, the quote just went everywhere. Like, oh, the team's playing like ass. And I'm like, well, if you admit you're playing like ass, then I guess you're playing like ass then. Because
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. But the Cardinals, on the other hand, I think they're a lot worse than what we see on the surface as a team. I think Kyler Murray's a little bit overrated too, where
You think he's overrated, or is he just not rated very high? Like, is he rated highly?
No, I think he's actually a little overrated because I think people think that, oh, he's got quick legs, he can avoid being sacked, which is true. But everyone thinks like he's a masterclass quarterback when he's really not. Like he can throw the ball, he can run, he can escape the pocket like most quarterbacks can today. But he's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to be this massive quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be that guy. He just doesn't have that ability to be that guy.
Right. No, I don't. I don't disagree that he. I don't think anybody really does, though. I don't really think this game was really just about Kyler Murray. It was just about how the team. Like, you want to talk about, like you were talking before, the Jets creatively lose games. This is the most creative way you could have lost. I've never seen it. This is the most creative, innovative loss I've ever seen. It has to be.
What were they up? Like 17, 18, nothing, and they lose 22-21?
Yeah, I mean, they were up 28-6. They were about to be up 28-6 in the fourth quarter. I mean, so they had. I've never seen that touchdown that they scored after the Cardinals got an interception. I've never seen a touchdown scored that way. Ever.
Yeah, so they were up 21-6, and the Titans scored 16 unanswered in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
That's on top of missing an extra point in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
which people don't realize, which was significant, by the way. But
oh yeah, by the way, the last extra point that was very close to be that barely got in.
Yeah, that was bad too.
The extra point that Joey Sly missed, that was like maybe the worst extra point I've ever seen.
He shanked that so far right. Like
it was so far right, it was almost off the camera.
Yeah, that's how bad. And by the way, again, for like the third or fourth consecutive week, we saw like 4 or 5 missed field goals throughout when we were watching NFL Red Zone. I don't know what's going on with the kicking game this year, but there's a lot of missed field goals that are costing teams games.
Yeah, there's a lot of missed field goals and a lot of dropping the ball before the goal line. There's a whole lot of both those things.
Yeah, I mean, this game, again, it was a gross game going into it. If the Titans had won, would I have been, like, with the Titans winning, would I be surprised? No, I'm not, because the Cardinals are that one team that would lose a horrible game like this.
No. But if watching the game at the start of the fourth quarter,
you thought it was a runaway. Yeah, it was a runaway. Unless they, like the Titans do, they just come out and score 16 unanswered. They get lucky that the fumble doesn't cost them and bite them in the ass at the end. But because if that's a fumble and it doesn't get returned over, the game is over. It's over.
Yeah.
If that turnover stands. But I don't know. Players in today's game, they don't secure the football like players do back in like 10 years ago, like where they're holding on to it for dear life. So they're holding the ball out with one hand and just say, "Oh, I got it."
Well, in fairness, who got the interception? Was it it wasn't a defensive back, right?
No, it was a linebacker. Yeah,
it was a linebacker, right? So linebackers aren't really known. They're not like corners. They're not really known for interceptions. It's not really their specialty.
Go ask the Eagles.
Yeah, it's not really surprising that a linebacker wouldn't be able to secure the ball after getting an interception very easily.
Yeah, but that one was so blatantly obvious. Like,
I mean, in fairness, he fell to. I mean, it was bad, but like he fell to the ground, and then that caused the fumble. That's a little different than like it's not terribly surprising to me that a linebacker wouldn't know how to handle an interception because he probably doesn't get a whole lot of it. Like that's not what they're. It's like how corners can't tackle.
Right. And what I would say is that's the way the Titans are going to win games this year. Teams making dumb mistakes. And then
everybody's going to win games that way.
No, but I'm saying that's going to be the Titans in a nutshell. Like all year, they're going to have to find like ridiculously dumb ways to win games, and fumbling and then the other team fumbling back to you for a touchdown is one of those.
Looking at the rest of Tennessee's schedule.
Oh boy.
I mean,
I'm looking at it too.
Look, you never know. They're playing. I think they have a win. I think maybe they can beat the Saints.
Next week's game that they're playing is disgusting. Like it's you're gonna have Titans Raiders.
And by the way, like the Raiders have looked bad, but I think that the Raiders look infinitely better than the Titans.
That's the one game I would actually say the Raiders probably do win. But just looking at the rest of the schedule, New England, who destroyed what felt like Buffalo on Sunday night, which I don't think anyone expected them to win whatsoever. The Colts are playing good football. The Chargers, maybe they give them a fight the way they're playing right now.
Well, the Chargers have the Chargers in the Joe Alt injury really killed their offensive line.
Yeah, forget it. I mean, we saw Herbert get destroyed in the pocket multiple times, getting sacked.
After that injury, like against the Giants, the game just really took a turn.
Yeah, it did.
But look, when you look at, I think this game was way more about the Cardinals though than it was about the Titans. It was the Cardinals blowing this game way more than it was the Titans winning the game.
And Kyler acted like after the games, I'm like,
by the way, why was he pulled off the field after the botched snap that hit him in the helmet? Was that concussion protocol?
So we were watching that game in playback. I don't know. I think it was concussion protocol.
And getting hit, wearing a helmet, hit in the head with a snap. That's concussion protocol?
Well, that might have been called from up above, whoever's watching the games, because they have a doctor at every game that watches the game.
That's super weird, though.
It did hit him, like, right in the center part, though, which could...
Even if a snap hits you, I mean, they're not snapping the ball at 100 miles an hour.
So what I do remember is he got hit, and then he was woozy, like, kind of, like, moving around a little bit funny after that happened. So I think they pulled him off just for... precautionary, probably.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. I think that was more on the center. I think the center never should have snapped the ball. It looked like nobody else was even set.
Story of the life. Don't snap when you don't call for it.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Yeah, I've never seen that before. But like I said, I called it. I said, I'm telling you, the Cardinals are going to let the Titans back into this game. Just like they did against the Panthers. I didn't say I thought they were going to win, that they were going to lose the game outright. But, I mean, look at the Cardinals' schedule. In the first 5 games, they play the Saints, the Panthers, and the Titans. Arguably, I mean, three of the 5, I would say, pretty clearly, 3 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL, probably, all in the first 5 games, and somehow they're 2-3. Like, they've so far probably had the easiest schedule in football, and they're 2-3. That's unbelievable.
And their schedule's going to get rough because they're playing the Colts, then they play Green Bay. All right, no one cares about the Cowboys.
But they're playing Green Bay at home. I don't know how to feel about Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay, they're 2-2-1, and it looks like they've been terrible on the road so far.
By the way, I'm just going to say this now. I hate ties. I hate ties. I want them gone.
Everybody hates ties. It is the dumbest thing in the world that in the NFL we still have ties.
And I made this joke the other day on another streamer show, but when the NHL is beating you to evolving, that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
So the NHL got rid of ties and went to shootouts. There's no more ties anymore. And the NHL was the joke of the ties.
And also, the NHL, it's way harder to break a tie in hockey than it is in football. I mean, there's constant scoring in football.
See, the one thing I would say for the ties, I want to see a field goal kicking contest if we don't do it in regulation. Like, if the game's not over.
I mean, that's better than what we currently have.
I would say, start at, the 40 and then just keep moving back, see who can hit the longest.
The basketball... Of all the sports when it comes to ties, basketball is the easiest to break a tie. You play another 5 minutes, and
there's no tie. And also just because of the way the foul situations work, you're never going to see a tie, really. So, and MLB, I wish they would just get rid of extra innings and put in the derby instead.
No, you think they should just have home run derbies?
Yes, it'd be more entertaining to me.
Like,
Do you want to sit through a 15, 16 inning game?
but that's why they have the ghost runner.
I hate the ghost runner.
So you'd
Hate it.
rather have a home run derby than a ghost runner?
Absolutely. It's not even a debate.
So
I'd
you'd rather have a home run derby at the end of the game where teams throw to, how would it work? Would teams throw to the
three
their own,
each. I guess 3 batters each. Whoever hits the most out of those 6 batters on each side, you win.
but you'd rather have that than just to have a ghost runner? Ghost, at least the game is remaining the same.
I mean, at least with the Derby, it's going to take a certain amount of time. With extra innings, you could go 20 innings and you're stuck there. Like,
I mean, yeah, you could, but that's why they have the ghost runner. It's much less likely for that to happen. And the thing with baseball is that they somehow figured out the problem of games going on too long before college football did. College football, they made some changes. They tried to make the game a little quicker. And then after they did that, they added the 2-minute timeout, which is only going to make the games longer. That's why these games are going on for like 4 hours, some of them.
Right. I mean, there's so many different things you could do to shorten games.
But the thing with football, though, the NFL is that they do everything right. You know what I mean? Like, they do things better than almost every other sport does. That's why it's the most popular, or part of the reason why it's the most popular sport in America. Like, they do everything right. They do, like, they're great at, like, the game. When it comes to the timing of the games, they last about 3 hours, usually not much longer than that. The NFL is very good with that. They're very good with a whole lot of things. Like, they're just great with marketing their stars, marketing the teams, whatever. They're great with all that. But the one thing they can't figure out is overtime.
It's awful. It's so bad that they can't figure out the ties rule. I mean, I laughed watching that Green Bay Dallas game, and I'm like, oh, and I laugh like on NBC or when it's a prime time. All right, well, if they don't make it, it's going to be a tie. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to see a tie. And by the way, if it wasn't for Jordan Love spiking that ball in time, they would have lost that game too.
Yeah, they should have.
So,
the thing is, though, it's like, and I guess we don't have to talk about this game anymore. I do want to talk about the Jets and Cowboys a little bit. And I think people were just like really like, and it seemed like I was surprised that the line was so low, that the Cowboys were only favored by like 2.5. Even according to ESPN bet, it was 1.5. I think it was 2.5 at the very, very most, and that surprised me a little bit.
We had it. When we did the picks, it was Cowboys minus 1.5.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It was almost. I understand they were playing at MetLife, but now the Jets are winless. They're the only team with a 0 in their record.
Not even the Titans.
Obviously, in the win column.
Not the Titans. Not the Saints. Just the Jets.
Just the Jets. And to me, I think one thing you have to judge with coaches is, what does their side of the ball look like? Like, Aaron Glenn's a defensive-minded head coach.
Which never works, by the way, defensive head coaches.
Well, that's not true. Bill Belichick's a defensive head coach.
I was going to say there's some leeway there, but Bill is like the one few and far between.
In fairness, most offensive head coaches don't really work either. It goes both ways a little bit. I thought the defensive-minded head coach under the Jets' current situation was a bad idea.
Yeah, you and I agree on that one.
The problem, though, is not so much a head coach being defensive-minded. It's more that if they're defensive-minded and that's the only thing they focus on and they don't focus on the offense, that's always an issue.
Yeah, but that was always a focus going back to the Rex days, where it was always the ground and pound offense and the defense is going to smother you. Like, how far did that go? Now,
no,
I know they went to back-to-back AFC games, but they never won a Super Bowl.
Well, the thing is, it's far preferable. The Rex Ryan days are far preferable than what we've had since. I mean, the Rex Ryan days were preferable to the Todd Bowles days, and the Todd Bowles days were preferable to the Adam Gase days and the Saleh days. And
it's
now
getting worse as you say names. It's getting worse. It's getting worse as you say names.
Well, I would say the absolute lowest point was Gase, and then it got a little better with Saleh, and then it got and now with Aaron Glenn, we don't really know, but I think he's probably worse than
I
Robert
think
Saleh.
I think that Aaron Glenn's not going to last in New York. I think he's going to get chewed up and spit out. He already has been.
Yeah. Well, here's his problem, though.
What?
The Jets, he's a defensive guy, and the defense stinks.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
Some of it's not his fault. Some of it is injuries, and there's not a ton you can do about that. But even before the injuries, they still didn't look good.
Yeah, but I'm looking at all the games. Every game except for one. Or no, let me take that back. So every game they've given up 29 points or more. Every game. That's a problem. If you're supposed to be a defensive-minded team, right? I'm going to read you the 5-point totals they gave up.
Every game, four out of the 5 games.
Yes. No, they've given up 20. Oh, right. You're right. They gave up 27 points or more in all 5 games. So 34 against Pittsburgh, 30 against Buffalo, 29 against Tampa, 27 against Miami, and 37 against Dallas. And Dallas was missing 4 offensive linemen.
And CeeDee Lamb.
Imagine if they had CeeDee Lamb.
And by the way, this game was it's 37. The final score was 37-22. It was way more of a blowout than that.
That does not reflect how the game was going, the whole game.
At the end of the fourth quarter, or almost at the end of the fourth quarter, the Dallas was up 30-3, and the Jets kicked a field goal.
Yeah, they had a garbage time touchdown at the end of the third, and then I think they had a garbage time touchdown in the fourth.
Well, they had 2 touchdowns. They had a garbage time touchdown at the end of the fourth quarter. Is how it ended up at 22.
And I was laughing because people I was seeing watching the games with, like, oh, they scored. And I'm like, oh no, it's a useless touchdown, which I'm used to with the Jets. Like, they never score when they need to score. It's always when we don't care about the game anymore.
But like the thing is, though, people keep talking about like the Cowboys being so bad, and it's like, I wouldn't say the Cowboys are bad. They're okay. They're below average.
They're bad compared to where everybody wants them to be.
Right. They're bad. They're bad, I would say, by Dallas Cowboys standards. But I got to tell you, they're really, really good by Jets standards. Like, if the Jets were as good as the Cowboys, that's like the best season we would have had in like maybe the past decade almost.
Well, looking at their schedule. So they lost to Philly. That game was close. And if it wasn't for a dumb penalty earlier in the game, then they might have a chance of winning that. They beat Dallas in a comeback in overtime. If it wasn't for Brandon Aubrey hitting a 64-yard field goal.
You mean they beat the Giants?
That's what I meant. I'm saying they came back. If it wasn't for Aubrey hitting that record field goal, pretty much, they're not even in that discussion. They beat Chicago. Chicago's a terrible team.
No, they lost to Chicago.
Oh, did they lose? Oh,
Chicago
they did lose. You're right.
Chicago killed them in Chicago.
That's a terrible team to lose to, by the way.
No, they're not a good team to lose to. Although the thing with Dallas, though, is that like they look like a classic like Big 12 college football team. Their offense really, really good. Their defense is terrible, possibly the worst defense in the league. And let's not forget, Dak is having like an MVP caliber season. He really is.
True.
He's playing phenomenal. Like, he's worth every penny with the way that he's been playing. Dallas's offense looks good. It's just the problem is their defense.
Well, and they're just hurt. They're never healthy.
They're injured. Injuries too.
Think about it. Like, CD's out this year. Dak was out all of last year, pretty much. And then they just can't stay healthy. And then they don't have enough games together chemistry-wise. Like, people laugh when people say the term chemistry. It actually does matter. Why do you think the Chiefs made it to 3 straight Super Bowls? I mean, not saying they were going to win the third one, but they had such great chemistry that allowed them to win back-to-back Super Bowls and kind of build a legacy that way. But yeah.
That's their biggest problem, though, is their defense. And also, I think it's just such a shame that, like, Dak Prescott this year is looking like the Joe Burrow of last year. He's doing everything.
That's a good point. But
he used to not have to do a whole lot. Like earlier, like when the Cowboys were good with Prescott, he didn't have to be a superhero. He didn't have to do everything. They usually had a really good run game. They had a lot more.
Well,
now
you're talking about more in the Zeke days, right? No, or no?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that was before Zeke completely lost his mind and then basically got kicked out of football, essentially.
Well, I would say it's more accurate to say he was always a little bit of a head case, even in college.
Well, no, I'm saying like he was great. Then his game just didn't work. And then he was a head case, so no one took a chance on him anymore. But I don't know. The Cowboys, at least from as young as I remember, have never been a good football team. Really. Like they could never win the big game.
No. You can't say they haven't been a good. For most of our lives, Dallas has been a good team. I mean, the Romo days, they were good. They were never a great team.
They never won the big game, though. You could say
but
that.
That doesn't mean they weren't good teams. They're good teams. There's a lot of good teams that don't win big games.
Right, but what are we judged on, though? That's
no, but the point is that they're not like the Jets or the Giants that have been perpetually bad. The Cowboys have not been perpetually bad.
Well,
they've just been perpetually underachievers. I think that's a very big difference.
I wouldn't say the Giants are perpetually bad. Look back at the 2010s. I mean, like,
well, yeah, they won the 2 Super Bowls, but since they won the second Super Bowl, which was 13 years ago, they've been perpetually bad. They made the playoffs once or twice, I think, and they haven't really been.
Go ask the Jets how that feels.
Right, that's the point, though. It's like the Jets are perpetual. The Jets and Giants in the past decade have been perpetually bad. The Cowboys throughout most of our lives were the underachievers, but they weren't bad teams. They just didn't win Super Bowls. Like that, I think there's a big difference. They were often contenders in a lot of these. Look, they've usually had good quarterbacks for most, not great quarterbacks, but good quarterbacks. Most of our lives, they had Tony Romo and then Dak Prescott, both good quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they were never going to win the big game. But just for the Jets' sake, do you remember the last time the Jets made the playoffs?
Yes, I was 14 years old.
2010.
No, I was 13 years old.
2010, it was the back-to-back of the AFC titles, 09 and 10.
Yeah, or it was the 2010 to 2011. So it was early 2011. But yes.
Right. So that was when Rex was the coach. Now, I remember when we heard all those rumors that, Rex maybe wanted the job. They should have done it.
I think so, too. Rex Ryan, I would have loved Rex Ryan. I mean, here's the thing. All the problems that people had with Rex Ryan, you can't say those same problems don't exist with Aaron Glenn.
True. And also, Rex Ryan has the reputation of making the playoffs, unlike some other coaches that we've tried.
And he at least has head coaching experience. I mean, look, I think that even though I really didn't like the Aaron Glenn hire, I would have preferred Rex Ryan or even Doug Peterson. I would have preferred, because at least Doug Peterson is an offensive-minded head coach, which might be good for Justin Fields, and he at least has a history of success.
And he won a Super Bowl, too.
He won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. And,
which is incredible to this day.
Really, he outcoached Belichick, which, all right, he doesn't have much to show for it since then, but that's really nothing to sneeze at. And Rex Ryan has way more experience than Aaron Glenn. I think a lot of Jet fans like the Aaron Glenn hire because he's a former player. And that doesn't mean anything at all.
That doesn't mean anything. Like, that's like going and hiring a former player that played in your organization for 20 years and said, he's going to be instantly successful. That's not how that works at all.
Right. It would be like, it's kind of like how the Mets almost hired Carlos Beltran as the manager, but then the Astros.
Well, no, they did. They did have him hired.
They did actually, technically.
And they just said, we're not dealing with this crap. Well, we'll let you go. That's like what the Angels are about to do with Albert Pujols, who they're interviewing for their manager job.
Right.
Is that really going to be instant success? No, the Angels organization stinks.
But I think it's the same thing with the Jets. Like, here's the thing. The thing with the Jets is that it's hard for us to blame the quarterbacks and the head coaches when the common denominator is us. Like, we're the common denominator. Like, I used to think Todd Bowles was a really bad head coach, and he's not a great head coach, But it's kind of hard to argue that he's doing a bad job in Tampa Bay. Like, did Sam Darnold look like a bust with the Vikings or with the Seahawks? No. Like, he flourished outside of New York. And Geno Smith, I mean, he's a little older now. He's going backwards again, but he flourished with Seattle. So it's just like, well, a lot of these coaches and quarterbacks are flourishing outside of New York. Maybe the problem is just us.
Well, I was going to say that's kind of like the Yankee jinx that they say in baseball, where the guys go and play in the Yankees. They are horrible. They embarrass themselves. And then they go to another organization and they ball out.
And I will say, though, I think that's the thing with the Mets too. The thing with baseball is that, and now that's very much a thing in football with the Jets. Like, there's so many players where the proportion from their career to their Jets career is so vast. Like, there's a lot of it in the NFL. In baseball, you see it a lot, but in baseball, it's such a regionalized sport that every fan base thinks that it happens to them. So baseball is such a regionalized sport to the point where those types of things, fan bases think it only happens to them because it's such a regionalized sport. So like it's like that with with bad streaks.
Yes.
In baseball, like every fan base thinks it's only happening to them. And the Jets, there's a whole lot of that too. And there's been a whole lot of like players that have gone to the Mets and then they were just terrible. But yeah, overall, just in terms of the Cowboys, look, they're not a playoff team. But their defense, it's a shame because Dak is having an MVP caliber year, but he's not going to be MVP because his team doesn't win enough. But
it's such a stupid conversation people were starting where they were like, "Oh, well, Dak for MVP." Stop. He's not close.
Well, it's not going to happen because his team doesn't win enough. That's why.
I mean, I don't think personal awards are really based on wins and losses of a team.
No. But the way it works, though, is that if you're not on a winning team, you're not going to win MVP. It's the same reason that the Finals MVP in the NBA Finals MVP never goes to the losing team, and I get that.
Well, the one example I can give you is when A-Rod was in Texas, when those Ranger teams were so bad that
baseball's different, though.
Why is that any different? Same, because you're saying wins and losses to help determine a MVP.
Well,
no.
Well, it does. It does in baseball, but I think it does a lot more in football for a quarterback than it does.
Because a lot of people were saying the year that Burrow had his breakout season, but the offensive line and then the defense was costing them games. Would you say Burrow would have been the MVP that year?
Would have been, you mean, if the Bengals had won?
No, I'm just saying generally based off the stats, because Burrow's stats were better than everybody's that year.
Yeah, they were.
And they didn't give him the MVP. In my opinion, if his stats are better, he should win the MVP. It's a personal award.
No, I agree. I completely agree that that's how it should be. It's an individual award. I would not have been against it. But you know what? A lot of these MVP awards, it's not always who should win MVP.
It's a popularity contest.
Right. It's not just that, but it's also like the reason Josh Allen won it, and I think he should have won it over Lamar Jackson.
He had a really good year, though.
Right, but the reason he won it, though, instead of Lamar Jackson, ultimately was because he hadn't won it yet. And I'm okay with that because that's just kind of – and by the way, I think he should have won it regardless. But the fact that he did – like if it was reversed and he had won the year before and Lamar Jackson hadn't won it yet, Lamar Jackson would have won it. So that's kind of just how it is with MVP awards. I mean, there's a reason Jokic didn't win like 4 in a row.
But and you're going to run into the debate this year with the MLB MVP because people, Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge. First of all, I think Cal Raleigh should win the MVP, and it should not even be a discussion. But people are saying, "Oh, it's Aaron Judge, and it's not close." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, Aaron Judge missed 3 weeks in the season due to injury.
But I mean, ultimately, it's not something I even really. I mean, honestly, a lot of these awards I don't even really care about that much because there's so much politics involved.
Just win. That's really what you're there to do. Win.
The problem with MVPs in football, though, is that realistically, the most valuable player every year is going to be a quarterback. They're the most valuable players on every team. it's going to be hard to argue that a wide receiver is an actual MVP.
Well, unless they have just an unreal, ridiculous game.
But even if no, I could see a wide receiver winning like Super Bowl MVP. I can understand like maybe a particular game, but the MVP for the season, if you take the award at its literal value, I mean, a wide receiver being MVP. I mean, even if you look at even Puka Nacua, you couldn't even argue as MVP.
Well, that's why the NFL has Offensive Player of the Year, which I don't even understand why that's an award, to be quite honest. But
yeah,
I mean, I feel like Offensive Player of the Year kind of falls into MVP a little. So why do you, unless their theory is that if we have an Offensive Player of the Year, because they know a quarterback is going to be the MVP, that gives someone else another chance to win an award. But again, sports are not about individual awards. They're about winning championships.
Right. No, I totally agree. They're about winning championships, like individual award. But there's this weird thing where like people like really try to like attribute all team accomplishments and team failures to individuals.
That's ridiculous.
And
I've always
think
thought
that's
ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous. Like, especially with quarterbacks, we see it all the time. Like people talk about quarterback matchups as if they're playing each other in a game of tennis or golf, like they're playing individually, but they're not. They're not even on the field half the game. It makes no sense. Like it's like Eli Manning beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. It's like, well, no, the Giants beat the Patriots and they were just leading their teams. Like it's completely different.
I think people make that mistake because they're like, oh, it's a battle between two franchises and two big quarterbacks. I agree. Like it's one team beating the other. It's not quarterback playing quarterback.
Right,
right. They're not playing tennis. They're not in the octagon fighting a UFC match. Like it's not wrestling. It's a team sport.
Right. And the best quarterback, the best quarterback in the league doesn't always win the Super Bowl.
That's true. I agree with that also.
I mean, look, like Eli Manning, the years that the Giants won the Super Bowl, he was probably not even a top 10 Like he was a good player, but he wasn't great.
I would say he's in the top half at best. Like
no, top half. Like he was good, but he wasn't like he wasn't an MVP candidate any of the years that they won the Super Bowl.
He just had the clutch gene, but in the playoffs, which was just insane.
Well, at least in those particular runs, which by the way, I'd rather win 2 Super Bowls and not do anything than only win 1 Super Bowl. Okay, fine. But like my view on Eli is that all of it counts.
Well,
like it's not just the Super Bowls.
No, I agree. And I forgot which year it was, but that one year where he just kept the fourth quarter comebacks that he had. It was one particular year. I don't remember what year, but he just kept coming back every fourth quarter when they were trailing.
But yeah, either way, the point, and by the way, like Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl last year, and Jalen Hurts is like not a top 5 quarterback. He's good, top 10. Maybe you could argue. Maybe
I debate that one slightly
now with the injuries. Like, all right, maybe if you remove Burrow and Jackson because they're injured, maybe then you can argue he's but look, he hardly even throws the ball past 5 yards.
I think part of that has to do with the offensive scheme.
Look, I think Jalen Hurts is a good player. He's a good player, but he's not a great player, and he's very streaky. That is his problem. He is a very streaky player. He's not consistently good. Like, I don't think Jalen Hurts is like, to me, it's really hard to argue that he's a top 5 quarterback.
Okay, so tell me who your top 5 quarterbacks are above Jalen Hurts.
Well, assuming I'm just going to include Jackson.
That's fine.
I'm going to include the injured guys.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, the big 4, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson.
Okay.
And then Jared Goff.
Over Hurts?
Yes. I would absolutely take Jared Goff over Hurts. Is that crazy? I mean, I think they're similar types of players, except Jared Goff can actually throw down the field consistently.
It's not crazy, but it's not the name I thought you were going to say.
Well, who did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it myself, but
Dak?
The
way they're playing this year?
No.
The way they're playing this year, you don't think Dak Prescott's better than Jalen Hurts?
No.
Come on.
No.
That's absurd. We were just talking about Dak Prescott's having like an MVP caliber season. You
No,
wouldn't take
that's the reputation that people are giving, that he's having an MVP
no,
season.
but he actually is. But he actually is having an MVP caliber season. I mean, if you look at their numbers, I mean, now I'm not saying the numbers tell the whole story, but right now, Dak Prescott is throwing for right now, Dak Prescott is hold on a second. I'm trying to pull this up on Football Reference.
What about
This
Jaden?
year?
What about Jaden Daniels?
No, probably not. Okay, so this year, Dak is throwing for 271 yards per game with 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's having an incredible season. That's a better than 3-to-1 ratio. Yeah, I think, and he doesn't even have his best wide receiver. The Eagles don't have any significant. I mean, the Cowboys are one of the most injured teams in the league.
Well, that I can give you.
Now,
That
I'll
for
give
sure.
you Jalen Hurts top 10. I'll give you that. I think he's top 10, but I don't think he's top 5. Unless you take out, maybe if you take out the injured quarterbacks. But I mean, the big 4 are just easy picks, and then I think Jared Goff is better. I think and I think Dak Prescott has been better easily. Like I would definitely take. I think Jared Goff is like Jalen Hurts. He's a system type of quarterback, but I think he's better. I think he's been better.
I don't think Goff can take off leg wise like Jalen Hurts can, though.
No, I don't think he can either. I think Jalen Hurts, like I said, I think he's like a Jared Goff. I think he's I think he's a very good player, but not a great player.
I would say that the Eagles are getting compromised, and he's getting compromised partially, though, because they lost some of their pieces. The defense is staying out longer, not getting as many opportunities. Now, when I watched this game against the Broncos, he looked off. I mean, he was throwing the ball more. But that's what we all talked about on Forecast, where we thought the only way to beat the Broncos was throwing the ball in the air. But the other thing that stood out in that game too was that Saquon only got 6 touches the whole game.
Yeah, Saquon's production has gone way down. I mean, look, they were up 17-3, and the problem is that the problem is with the Eagles offense is that it's just so streaky. I mean, yeah, they were up 17-3 at the start of the third quarter, and then it was just a punt fest after that. They punted for like 4 drives straight. I mean, like, how does that even – not only did they punt, 3 of the 4 drives of the next 4 drives, they weren't just punts. They were 3 and outs. And it is hard to just say none of that has to do with Jalen Hurts. I think that, like, Jalen Hurts is a good player, but his ability is just limited, I think.
I do think they got screwed at the end of the game, though. I think they missed a pass interference call at the end of that game.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
now,
look.
Let me be clear about one thing. I'm not saying they would have won the game even if the pass interference was called, but that would have changed the end of that game.
Sure.
I think.
I mean, look, all I'm saying, though, is that when you have 4 straight punts.
Well, that's not good. Yeah.
3 of them are 3 and outs. Your offense can't move at all. It's hard to say that has nothing to do with the quarterback. If that was Patrick Mahomes, if that was Dak Prescott, if that was almost anybody else, we would say the quarterback at least has something to do with that.
Well, would you say Patrick Mahomes has been struggling statistically? I think he has been.
Yeah, he has. But, the point is, though, is that we don't that we don't pretend, like, when the Chiefs offense struggles, we don't pretend Mahomes has nothing to do with it. Like, Hurts,
well, I never said that. I know Jalen Hurts.
Saying in general, like, Hurts has a lot to do. He's just very streaky.
Well, and the other issue, and most people don't talk about it, I think they're too reliant on the tush push.
Yeah, they are a little reliant on the tush push. And the thing is, though, I think the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts, of course, it happened to be that he he had good games again in the Super Bowl. It happened to be that way. But every game with him is just, even in one game, every game is just a coin flip. Which Jalen Hurts are you going to get? Are you going to get Super Bowl Jalen Hurts? Or are you going to get Jalen Hurts against the Broncos? Like, which one are you going to get?
I mean, you were 4-0 going into this game. I think he just had a bad game, and that's why they lost. But
Yeah.
I also think the Broncos defense is nothing to sleep on. Patrick Surtain was one of the top defensive backs in the league over the last couple of years. Totally held down the Eagles wide receiver front for most of that game. AJ Brown, who basically called out everybody, including his own quarterback, for not getting touches.
I've never seen like a winning team with under so much disarray. It seems like Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown don't have a good relationship.
Well, you see what he said after the game, or no?
AJ Brown?
Yeah.
I think I heard about it. What was it?
He blamed Jalen Hurts for losing the game.
Yeah, that's just, he's such a diva wide receiver.
And then apparently, like, the reason that he went viral is because apparently he was typing social media posts that said, if you would get me the football, we would do even better than we are. That's such an egotistical way of thinking.
Although the ball that kind of went over AJ Brown's head, AJ Brown stopped running. He should have, like, that was very much on AJ Brown. And it seems like Hurts is not really that popular in the locker room. It seems like.
You know what that reminds me a little bit of? Or kind of reminds me of Donovan and T.O. a little bit.
Yeah, actually, it reminds me a lot of that. Except T.O. I think T.O. had way more
ability.
Yeah, like he's one of the all-time great wide receivers.
Now, it didn't help that T.O. had a terrible reputation around the league.
Yeah, his reputation is worse than A.J. Brown's. A.J. Brown last year, don't forget, he was reading a book on the sidelines.
I remember that. Yep.
And he's just like a typical diva wide receiver. That's what a lot of wide receivers just are.
But it made me think of that because those two, like when T.O. wasn't getting the football, like he bitched about Donovan to the media, and then it led to a huge battle between the two of them. So.
Yeah, it's just that the Eagles this year, the truth is, the Eagles this year look a lot like they did last year and 2 years ago. I mean, like, people are acting shocked that the Eagles are looking this streaky, but it's like, that's always, I don't even know if streaky is the right word, but like, this is what they looked like last year. It's what they looked like 2 years ago. Do people forget the collapse that they had and they barely made the playoffs 2 years ago? I mean, it was the same thing then.
I'm also not a fan of Sirianni. I think he's a giant head case. Also,
he is, but you know what though? He wins.
I know. No, you're right, and I'm not debating that. But I feel like he's such a diva on the sidelines. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Eagles fans are a little bit like Yankee fans, which is that they're perpetually unhappy with their head coach, or Yankees case manager.
That's a good point, actually.
Like, Eagles fans don't like Syria. At least I think Yankee fans have a little more of a reason to not like Boone because they've never won a World Series, whereas the Eagles just won a Super Bowl.
But 2009, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but last year, Eagles fan, like the talk of the town was Sirianni's on the hot seat. Like, to me, I'm not shocked that the Eagles are having a messy season because the Eagles are just kind of a messy team.
Is a 4-1 season considered a messy season? That's where I'm trying to debate that partially.
I think that, well, yes, because I do think it is a little messy. I do.
Okay.
I mean, just because it matters. Don't get me wrong. Ultimately, it matters that they're 4-1 and that they, beating the Chiefs, impressive win. But overall, like, it doesn't feel like they're 4-1. Does it?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, but they were pretty dominant in those 4 victories, though, for the most part. I mean,
not against the Rams, they weren't. Not against Dallas, they weren't dominant. Beating the Chiefs in a non-dominant fashion is always impressive. But no, I wouldn't say that they've been. I mean, they beat the Rams on a blocked field goal.
I'm saying I thought that game was very back and forth. Like, both offenses were really firing.
But the second half, the Eagles' offense went dormant, which is the problem with the Eagles. There are just times when their offense can't do anything.
I mean, just look at the other games. I mean, like I said, the reason they beat Dallas was because of a dumb penalty. That's the only reason why they really won that game. But Kansas City, that game was a shit show when everyone thought it was going to be like a Super Bowl rematch. But first of all, whenever they say Super Bowl rematch, I cringe every time because it can't be a Super Bowl rematch because it's never the same teams officially.
Right. Well, you know what they mean. But yeah, just also, I do want to. We do have to talk about the Ravens a little bit. The Ravens are still favored to win the AFC North.
How?
I don't know why you're so surprised. They're barely even favorites. Like they're minus 105.
I don't think they should be a favorite at all.
No. But like that, they're barely minus 105 is barely even a favorite. I mean, minus 110 is what like a standard bet would be.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying they're a 1-4 team. They can't be a favorite to win the division. Sorry, you just can't.
Yes, they can. Well, clearly they are.
Yeah,
clearly they are favorites because who else are you going to pick? The Bengals don't have a quarterback until December. So, unless they trade to make a move, assuming they stay with Jake Browning, the Bengals are going to be at the level of like the Panthers or the Saints. Then you have the Steelers. So who are you going to pick to win the division? The Steelers?
I hate to say it, but yeah, probably the Steelers.
I think if you think that, you should make that pick because you're going to be like actually bet like $100 on it if you think that.
Oh, now you're in my pocket, huh?
No, or whatever amount of money you can. No, the point I say $100.
Joking. Yes,
I say $100 because you would get amazing odds for it if you think that they're most likely going to win the division.
They're playing better football than the Ravens are right now.
But here's the thing with the Ravens: how likely they are to win the division depends on when Lamar Jackson. It depends on Lamar Jackson's health.
I think he's going to miss one more week. I think.
Like the thing is, I don't think it's that big of a deal that the Ravens started the season off 1-3. I don't think it's that big of a deal because it just happens to be that the three toughest games that they're playing all season just happen to be in the first 4 weeks of the season. It's just that they happen to play the Bills, the Lions, and the Chiefs all in the first 4 games. So I don't think it's that big of a deal that they went 1-3. Losing
1-4. Yeah.
Well, now they're 1-4, but the point is they lost to the Texans because Cooper Rush was their quarterback. They're not even the same team that they were.
But to get that embarrassed on your home field is not good either. Like,
no, it's because their defense is not good, but they're talented enough on offense to the point where they can get away with not having a great defense.
But I'm saying, I think statistically, I heard this the other day that they are the worst defense in the NFL right now.
That doesn't surprise me. And you know what? I think that, and part of that is because one of their best players is injured. But if you look at the rest of their schedule, it's much, much easier than it is right now.
I'm looking at it, but so my gut is that Lamar is not going to play next week. I think they're going to give him another week. So, first of all, I think they would have struggled against the Rams anyway. I think so. But then they have Chicago at home. I think Lamar or no Lamar, they would win that game anyway. Then they play Miami on Thursday night football on the road in Miami. That's wholly winnable. Like
Miami couldn't even beat the Panthers.
Well, that was terrible. Then they have Minnesota. That's going to be tougher for them, I think.
That's Lamar Jackson, though. Even in that game, they would definitely be favorites.
If Lamar was there, then yes, I think they're the favorite.
Plays right, but that's not till November 9th.
I'm just looking scheduled based off their defense because their defense is just atrocious. But then they play Cleveland. They should win that. Then they play the Jets. They should win that. The Bengals on Sunday Night Football. They should win that.
After the Rams next week, their schedule is really just not all that difficult.
It's fairly easy, but it all depends if Lamar is healthy.
Maybe when they play the Bengals on the road, maybe if Joe Burrow's back by then.
He's not coming back.
But he's supposed to come back in December.
I think like late December, though.
Well, assuming Joe Burrow's not okay, so if he's not back by then, the toughest game that the Ravens play, the toughest matchup that the Ravens have after the Rams
Probably
is the
Pittsburgh.
Packers.
I was going to say Pittsburgh too, because Pittsburgh's been
Or
playing good
Pittsburgh.
ball. But
I would say probably the Packers, but okay, maybe Pittsburgh.
I'm not
And
saying
let's say
that's
they
a
split with
definite.
Pittsburgh.
If Aaron is healthy, let me put an asterisk on that
And let's say
first.
they split with Pittsburgh.
You could. I could see that.
I mean,
But their
most of
schedule's
these
fairly
games,
easy.
I think maybe even if they start off 1-5, I could still see them winning the division. I could still see it happening.
It's going to be a long road, though, if they start 1-5.
Oh, for sure. But like the Steelers' schedule is a bit more difficult. The Steelers still have to play the Lions, and they still have to play the Chargers. Maybe it's not as difficult. And both teams still have to play the Packers and the Steelers. So the Steelers still have to play the Bills and the Lions. Two of the four teams that the Ravens lost to. The Steelers are probably going to lose those games too, but they just haven't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the toughest part of their schedule. It's probably the end of November into December. So home for Buffalo, at Baltimore. Those are the two toughest games because Lamar will be way back by then. Well, then they have Miami, but then Detroit after Miami. So like 3 out of 4 game stretch there at the end of the season could be tough. But I'm going to assume that by Thanksgiving, most of the playoff scenarios are going to be in place by that point. So you're not going to get spectacular football at that point.
Yeah.
Hey fans, Novig is here to change the way you play. Available in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and New York, Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market, and it's 10 times more profitable than traditional sports books because there's no house edge. Instead, you're betting directly against other sports fans just like yourself. Novig is also the only free exchange, which means you keep every dollar you win, whether you're putting plays down on the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, college sports, or even UFC and tennis. Novig gives you the power to pick the best odds, or better yet, set your own. Sign up today with the code ETB Network, and you'll get 1,000 Novig coins plus $5 in Novig cash, and special bonus offers like spending $5 and getting $50 back. Novig, where fans play smarter. You must be 21 years or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Moving the goalposts is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience. From playing fantasy sports, rubbing your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. Mark Sanchez finally one-upped the butt fumble. This finally, by the way, all of this happened while I was sleeping. So it went from, oh my God, praying for Mark Sanchez, he's in critical condition, he's a stabbing victim, to, oh my God, what an idiot, he attacked a DoorDash driver.
I was at my nephew's birthday when I get this news that he's, and the only context I have is the original story at the time, where it says, oh, Mark Sanchez stabbed, he's in the hospital, prayers up. And I'm like, what just happened? And then I get the report that he attacks, I think it was a truck driver, actually.
Yeah, because he was dropping off some type of oil, I think.
Like at the dock somewhere, they were saying.
He wasn't like somebody who delivers DoorDash for individuals.
Correct. And I saw some, like the New York Post posted the video. There were some others that posted the video as well that supposedly like he was out walking around drunk. Like he had come from a bar, supposedly. And I read another report that supposedly his coping mechanism is drinking.
Coping with what, though?
I don't know. They just said like he's got some kind of, he uses it as a coping mechanism. I don't know why.
Well, you don't know why, because alcohol feels freaking good. That's why. But it's not a good coping mechanism.
No, but I was saying this to Zan when we were recording the show before, that I think there might be some kind of CTE something situation going on with
I don't
him.
know. I don't think it's a given that if he gets into a fight drunk, that means he has a problem with CTE.
No, not the fight. I'm saying that they reportedly said his coping mechanism was drinking. Like that, I'm looking at more that way.
Look, I'm not going to say that I think that's not necessarily wrong, but at the same time, part of me is like a lot of people without CTE have the same problem.
Oh no,
Like,
I'm
it's
not
just a
saying
common
it isn't
thing.
possible. I'm not saying it isn't possible, but I don't know. This story got bizarre, and now he's being charged with all different, like, reckless use of a vehicle and possible DUI.
He also, but is there any information that he was driving?
They said he was illegally using a car at one point.
Okay, so this is a little bit strange. It's weird to me that would even that something like that would even escalate to that point. It doesn't even make sense. He apparently got pepper sprayed,
Yes.
and then he still kept charging. He still kept attacking the guy.
Right. So then the 69-year-old guy, by the way, which a lot of people are looking past, apparently he took out a knife for self-defense and
Yeah.
started stabbing Mark Sanchez. Now, I've never really heard of stabbing someone as self-defense. That's a new one.
It happened at that bodega a couple
did it?
years ago. There was a guy who had a knife. Now, to me, having a knife in a bodega at a store, I like that. To me, makes sense that you would have a knife, especially in New York where it's hard to get a gun.
Yeah.
But carrying around a knife for protection is a little odd. Like that seems a little strange. I don't blame him for it, but like,
but that doesn't make sense. But so police affidavit alleged that Sanchez, smelling of alcohol, accosted a 69-year-old truck driver who backed into a hotel's loading dock in downtown Indianapolis, leading to a confrontation early Saturday outside the vehicle that prompted the driver to pull out a knife to defend himself.
but like my question is like, why did Mark Sanchez? Was the driver parked illegally?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And like, even if he was parked illegally, why did Mark Sanchez even care? It doesn't make sense.
Well, it says, so like you said, he was pepper sprayed, stabbed multiple times during the altercation. It became clear after investigators learned more about the victim's medical condition that more serious felony charges were warranted. Sanchez was hospitalized with stab wounds under his upper right torso. The truck driver had a cut to his left cheek.
Really? How did he get? Oh, just from being like up or something?
Attacked, maybe. Authorities have not said whether the truck driver might also face charges.
Why would the truck driver face charges? It sounds like he was just defending himself.
Because they don't know fully if it was self-defense or if there was a fight altercation.
Right, that's true.
But he was hospitalized, and then all of a sudden he was arrested right after he was cleared from the hospital.
Look, I am always one to reserve judgment because, look, you never know how accurate police reports are. Like, that's why I'm always just going to reserve judgment. But it really just seems like Mark Sanchez really was wrong here. And there's also a video of him on TMZ just stumbling around. I don't know if that was after he was stabbed.
No, I think that was surveillance video that they found. But
right, surveillance video. But I'm saying TMZ posted it.
Yes, but I'm saying I think that was like he happened to just be walking around. They caught him on a surveillance camera, but this was clearly an altercation between a 38-year-old former quarterback and a 69-year-old man. Like,
wait, was he supposed to? Because he's on Fox Sports. Was he supposed to be calling a game the next day?
This was the night before he was supposed to call the Colts game.
Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me that you're out getting drunk the night before.
Well, not just getting drunk, getting into a full altercation where you get stabbed with a knife.
No, but the point is, even if you didn't get into an altercation, you're so inebriated the night before you have to call a 1 o'clock game. That's crazy.
I don't know the full reasoning, but so it says Perry told the 69-year-old man involved in the incident filed a lawsuit against Sanchez and the Fox Corporation.
Wait, why would the lawsuit be against the Fox Corporation? What do they have to do with anything?
I guess liability because of wherever. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just reading.
Makes no sense.
So it says Toll and his attorney alleged civil counts of assault and battery and negligent hiring, retention, and supervision. The lawsuit does not seek a specific amount of damages. Rather, it asks for the amount awarded to be determined at trial. Sanchez was in Indianapolis to work as an analyst for Fox Sports.
You'd think though that like Mark Sanchez would have the wherewithal to be like, you know what, I'm not going to get into a fight over a stupid parking space.
Oh, here it is. So according to a new affidavit filed Monday, Sanchez was running in an alley near the Indianapolis Marriott downtown when he approached the 69-year-old man who was Toll works for a company that exchanges commercial frying oil and was parked in a loading dock area of a hotel.
So he's allowed to park there, though, right?
Correct, because he works for the company that does all that oil.
Why
stuff.
would Mark Sanchez start it? Like, this doesn't make sense.
Detectives reviewed surveillance footage from the Marriott, which captured the incident and showed Sanchez approaching Toll's truck and beginning a conversation. Let's see. He did smell of alcohol, so he was drunk. So obviously, when you get drunk, your senses and abilities don't exactly work 100%.
You know what this means?
What?
By the way, I don't think he's going to face like prison time. But you know what this means? He's probably going to get fired from Fox, and then he's going to become like an advocate for like alcoholics and drinking responsibly and things like that.
So it says the footage actually revealed by detectives showed Sanchez grabbing Toll and throwing him up against a wall.
I mean, doing that to a 69-year-old guy, that's insane.
Toll told the detectives that he pepper sprayed Sanchez, and when Sanchez continued to advance toward him, that's when he pulled the knife and whatever. I mean, for pepper spray not to affect you, by the way.
I mean, he must have been that inebriated. I mean, I've never been pepper sprayed, but I'm sure I'd scream if I were.
Well, then why do you think they use it? It stops you. It's an instant whatever. But it's interesting. So Toll said he felt it was a life or death situation.
He may have had good reason to believe that.
I don't know. Stabbing someone with a knife, though?
I mean, look, you never know. I mean, it's like what it sounds like. What happens like when there's when the police kill somebody.
That's true. Oh, by the way, you asked about the Fox Corporation part.
Yeah, what did that have to do with it?
So the lawsuit accuses the Fox Corporation of not supervising Sanchez's behavior.
What? And
that it should have known about his propensity for drinking or harmful conduct.
That is a little. I mean, you can't win with. He wasn't. It wasn't unless it's a Fox event. Like, no, you can't sue them for that.
I mean, that's a stretch. I don't think
That's a little.
You're not going to win that one in court, but
maybe only because he was in Indianapolis for the game, which was a Fox game he was doing. But by that logic, if an athlete, let's say he was on the Jets and they were playing the Colts and they were in Indianapolis and this happened. Would you be able to sue the Jets? Like, that's a little ridiculous.
If it was done at MetLife, maybe you could have.
Yeah, but not if it was in somewhere. Not if he's off the clock.
See, the issue with athletes or former athletes, this is going to sound ridiculous, but you're always on the clock, if that makes sense.
But you're not, though, because you have a life outside.
No. I'm talking about, like, it's during the NFL season. Like, during the NFL season, you're on the clock. Like, you're just, when you work for Fox during the NFL season, you have to behave. Like, you can't do dumb shit. Like, if you do dumb shit, you face the consequences.
Well, let's say for the sake of argument, this network did an event. And
I'm not saying I agree with this, by the way.
Right. I'm just saying, let's say we did an event and we flew to Miami, whatever. We did an event in Miami and I start a fight with somebody. And, would they be able to sue you individually for taking me to Miami?
You know what? People will do anything to.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to sue the network for. They're going to sue the network for a Novig sponsorship. Like,
I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but an example from years ago. Do you remember the whole McDonald's coffee lawsuit?
Yes.
So when that happened, and this is going to sound dumb, for people who haven't heard it, you'll understand. The coffee was like 320 degrees. It was like insanely.
Yeah.
You can't drink coffee that hot.
No.
And this was before they put the the dumb thing around the styrofoam cup, the holder thing. This was before that even existed. Or putting on the cup that it had the smoke symbol that shows that it's hot. She stupidly put the cup between her legs and started driving.
But even if that happens, it's not supposed to be that hot. You should be able to spill coffee on yourself without needing to go to the hospital.
Well, I don't know if I would recommend that, but
no. What I'm saying is that you should be able, like, coffee shouldn't be so hot that it's dangerous to spill on yourself.
Correct. She ended up with like third degree.
So I think she was very much correct to sue them.
Right, but I'm saying it's kind of a ridiculous lawsuit, though. Partially,
it sounds more ridiculous than it really is.
Because who puts a coffee cup between their legs and starts driving?
No, I get it, but the point is that it's on McDonald's to make sure that the coffee is not too hot.
I agree, but should you really be? My point is to go back to what you said before about the Fox thing. Like, you're saying technically he's off the clock in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I'm saying he really isn't. During the football season, he's not.
No,
when the football season
making is that, legally speaking, when I say he's off the clock, I mean, and I see what you're saying, but the point I'm making is that, legally speaking, Fox is not responsible for what Mark Sanchez does.
They're not responsible for his behavior. That's for sure. But
right, like, he's not broadcasting the game while he's doing it. Like,
no, well, that would be a whole different set of circumstances if he somehow got a weapon or someone else got a weapon and started attacking one another.
Yeah, that would be a little interesting. That would make it to awful announcing.
Don't even get me started with awful announcing. We got to do that story at least before we end the episode.
All right, we got to talk about it, even though the show's running a little long. Paul Finebaum, allegedly sidelined at ESPN. I don't know if this story is true or not, because it seems a little murky, is how I would put
This
it.
is ridiculous. He didn't get sidelined by ESPN. Awful Announcing screwed this up in a big way, because Awful Announcing is known for over-accentuating their headlines just so they can get clickbait. They think they're YouTube, where they pick certain things and they say, oh, let's just throw the word sidelined or canceled next to a person's name and let's see if it sticks. And of course, knowing me, I clicked on it anyway because I saw the title. But do you understand what the story is about or no?
This story?
Yes.
Well, yes, because I'm reading. By the way, I have the Yahoo story. So basically, he said in an interview with Clay Travis.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That he was considering a Senate run. Considering. Didn't even say he was going to do it.
I think he still is.
Yeah. He's considering it. And apparently has not been making appearances on ESPN shows. His radio show, I'm pretty sure, is still happening.
Yeah, his SEC network and ESPN audio show. Yeah.
And I don't know who's telling the truth. One side says one thing, the other side says the other thing. Both of them are biased.
Yeah.
So I don't really know who's telling the truth. I don't really know. But apparently it would have been pulled off for, like, apparently. Well, also, even if he was pulled off, it depends on why he was pulled off. He was doing an interview with Clay Travis, who is a competitor to ESPN to some degree.
That's being nice, saying that too.
I mean, on some level, a competitor. Not like quite as direct as, say, going on the Herd or something like that. But I don't know, if ESPN approved of the interview, that obviously would not be the reason why.
Correct. But, well, if you're a big enough personality, you do what you want.
Now, Paul Finebaum was never political. I never knew what his views on politics were. It was never clear to me at all.
Well, until he did the interview with...
Until he did the interview, I never would have known. He never made it clear at all.
I think that was a huge mistake, by the way, talking about his politics on...
But he didn't even talk about his politics that much. He just talked about how he's considering a Senate run. Here's the thing, though. Why would you want to be a senator when you're Paul Finebaum? That's the strangest thing to me, because you're taking a step back in life if you become a senator.
Well,
if you're Paul Finebaum.
I just want to correct one thing, though. So he did say during that Clay Travis interview that he's a big fan of Donald Trump.
Yeah, he did. And
that was a mistake, in my opinion.
It probably was in a lot of ways, but in fairness, it's not like we haven't. It's not like an ESPN personality can't go on an interview and say the exact opposite.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like,
I think it's a little bit of a double standard if Paul Finebaum can't do it.
well,
I mean,
you're talking about President Stephen A. Smith.
well, right, like Stephen A. Smith is like has talked about running for president as a Democrat. Like it's a little, which by the way, that's even more absurd than Paul Finebaum running for Senate. You think Stephen A. Smith is going to run for president?
No, I just think I'm just tired of it.
Likes the attention, and I like Stephen A. Smith, but come on, like,
I can't stand him, to be quite honest. But
I mean, come on, he's not going to run for president. Give me a break.
No. First of all, he's making between ESPN and Sirius
more money than the president does by an awful lot.
If I remember correctly, I did this on a show, I think on Press Row. He's making like $35 million a year between all of the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah,
he's not going to give up $35 million to make $400,000 a year as the president.
No, not even close. That's chump change to Stephen A. Smith. And it's also just way less fun. Like, you can't be in the headlines nearly as much. I could see him, like, wanting to, like, be in the debates and things like that, but, like, I don't know. I mean, Stephen A. Smith is just so heavily involved in everything.
And, of course, Sirius, because he gave him a political show, which no one asked for that, number one. But the Paul Finebaum thing, and I want to read the Clay Travis tweet really fast because – so he said, per sources, Disney and ESPN has removed Finebaum from appearing on ESPN since his Outkick interview expressing interest in running as a Republican for Senate in Alabama. ESPN has canceled all network appearances on all shows, including some that have occurred for a decade plus. Now, I don't know if you know who Bill Hoffenheimer is.
He's the ESPN PR guy.
Yes, he's the VP of their PR. So he quote tweeted that tweet and said, "This is not true at all. The below is," and in all caps, "totally false."
Look, I don't know. He is ESPN's PR guy. Of course he's going to say that.
I mean, it's his job to make sure he's protecting the company.
It might not even really be false. The accusation might actually be true. It could also be true for a different reason than we think.
Yeah, but I think I actually think ESPN is trying to kind of fix their political issues, because if you remember years ago, it was Stephen A. It was Jamel Hill. If you remember the amount of politics Jamel Hill used to. It was way more
Jamel Hill than it was way more that. But it was a little different because the problem that ESPN had with politics is that it was seeping into their content. It wasn't. That's not the same thing with Finebaum.
I mean, you could call it the left-wing network because that's what ESPN felt like. It still feels like forever.
And of course, look, any sports media network is going to be left-wing if politics are getting involved because most of the people are left-wing. That's just natural. But, that's why it's just better for all these networks to just be neutral if they're sports networks.
I tell people
neutral, at least.
I tell people all the time, like, because people ask me, I want to get into sports content and podcasting. They say, what advice do you have for me? And I tell them, don't talk politics. Just don't do it.
No,
you can't win.
No, unless you're Stephen A. Smith,
who just says everything, and ESPN just allows him to get away with it.
But you have to be like really, really established in order to be able to win that.
Exactly. There's no victory.
No. All right, we're running way over time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Sorry we couldn't get to the Yankees.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Nick Morgasen. This was another edition of Moving the Goalpost. See you guys next week.
See you.